What's going on, guys? So, long time no video. It has been obviously a crazy time for everybody. But I thought it was a good time for an update on the tanks and the good and the bad and the ugly. And here's this little one. That's part of the reason why it's taken me so long to put together this video. Um, she's like 16 months now, and this is her favorite place to hang out is with the dogs under the fish tank, which is probably not the safest place, but that's her spot. So that's August Jean. That's our little girl. So this is a quick update on the 180, and then I'll take you guys downstairs and update the 420 and the fish room. There's some good changes, some bad changes. The bad is this. Back just before COVID hit, I had sold a couple of big chunks of Montipora out of my frag tank downstairs. And as a result, the corals in the tank sort of went into like defensive mode where they stopped up taking up alkalinity and calcium. And I was just too slow in responding with my dosing, which is nobody's fault but my own. And as a result, my alkalinity kind of spiked. And as coral started to die, it was like a snowball effect where the coral was in defense mode and not uptaking alkalinity, so the alkalinity shot up higher, which sent more coral into defense mode. And before you know it, I ended up losing a bunch of pieces, mostly of Montipora and Bird's Nest, and I'll show you that downstairs too. All of the LPS did totally fine. You see all the torches. This big piece did fine, no issue here, still looks great. The purple Stylophora did fine, but it was the Montes and the Bird's Nests in particular just got absolutely hammered. I lost almost all of them. So that was just, and so the issue was then my calcium was sitting at like 500. And if any of you guys want in comments want to explain what the heck's going on here, the calcium level was sitting at like 500. So I basically cut off dosing of calcium for months. And I was testing every day, and the number just sat at 500, and then slowly, eventually, after months, it finally is back to normal. So as I'm shooting this video, I just this day replaced the T5 bulbs. I was running one Blue Plus and one like daylight bulb on each side, and I went to 4 ATI Blue Pluses. I just think it gives the tank a better look, and blends great with the Kessel A360Xs. So I've got the chemistry issues under control, I think, at this point. I continue to test alkalinity and calcium daily. I know that's probably overkill, and everything has been super stable. Alkalinity is sitting between like 8 and 9 every day on the Hannah checker. Here I've jumped a little bit later in the day so you can see a little bit more of a daylight look. I gave the T5s a chance to kind of burn in a bit, so the tank's a bit brighter here. So alkalinity is sitting at like 8.8, calcium's sitting at like 420 every day. So everything's been great there. I added a couple of pieces of SBS, and they're doing fine so far. So those are like little test pieces, but you can just see the Montes just got hammered right here. This was a big piece of purple Monte gone, basically. But then all of the torches look great. Everything's done fine, no issues. This big Duncan doing fine. The fish are all fine. I haven't had any issues with the fish. But it was a real huge setback. So this is a new piece of SPS that's doing great. Just picked that up last week at one of my local shops. So it was a real struggle getting the chemistry straightened out. And it was just like this battle that I was going throughout the first like 3 or 4 months of quarantine. But now here we are. It's almost September. Here's a look at the lights. I've been kind of contemplating thinking about the lights. Bulk Reef Supply has been talking about using the Reef Bright XHOs as supplemental lights. And I've kind of been thinking that I won't replace those T5 bulbs when they're shot, and I will either find a way to modify this light fixture for a couple of Reef Brights, like the blue actinic XHOs, or do something totally new for lighting. So the 3 Kessel A360Xs with some Reef brights. But let me take you downstairs. Those are the changes for upstairs. Really, it's just that issue with the chemistry. Everything else is totally the same upstairs. Corals and fish are doing fine up here. So let's take a look at the downstairs tank. Overall, fish fine, no issues. I haven't changed or lost any fish in as long as I can remember. I've actually been thinking I would like to add a couple of large angelfish to this tank. But the Montes down here especially, I mean, these corals were huge. You know, like a basketball-sized bird's nest on the right-hand side that's just a skeleton at this point. Just got destroyed by that alkalinity spike, which is a little surprising because I would have thought the Montes and the bird's nests would have been a little bit more resilient, but they just weren't at all. So I haven't added any coral down here. I haven't added any fish down here. This tank just kind of does its thing. I feed the fish regularly. You know, I work out down here in the basement, so I watch the fish tank. I watch this tank constantly. The treadmill's facing it, so when I'm running downstairs, um, I'm able to just sit and watch the tank. But so you can see there was a green Monty here shot, the red Monty gone. But overall, no major issues. A little bit of baptasia that I've got to deal with. There's a filefish in here that doesn't touch it. I've not had good luck with filefish. Here's sort of a long view of the tank. As far as maintenance on this big one, I stir up the sand, I clean the glass, and I do like a 100-gallon or a 20-gallon water change out of here maybe every couple of weeks. I've been a little lazy on the water changes on both tanks. And we'll try to get a little bit more regular with that. But I haven't really had any chemistry issues. No major algae blooms. Losing those corals, and I'll show you the frag tank, has been a mess. The frag tank has basically turned into a refugium where I'm just growing algae because I lost those big pieces of Monty out of all 3 tanks, essentially, the frag tank and both the 180 upstairs and the 420 downstairs. So here's the fish room. And a couple of major changes down here. I don't know if I had updated this in the last video that I made, but I did upgrade the Apex to the Wi-Fi, the new 2016 Apex. So far, no problems. It was a breeze programming it. I've had no issues with it whatsoever. There's all my test kits. I'm testing constantly. New protein skimmer, though. This is new. This is a MTC HSA 3000. I mean, it's a monster. The thing is like, 60 inches tall, 12 inches wide. I'm running it off of my return pump. I was using this Jabo pump that it came with, but I just wasn't feeling like it was getting enough pressure. And the way that it works, if the container fills up, it sort of shuts off the skimmer. So automatically. So I'm not super concerned about that. And so it's doing great. That protein skimmer is doing great. No issues with the Apex. You can see on my test kits here, the frag tank is a disaster that I don't even really want to talk about. A couple of the corals are doing fine. The green Bacillopora is doing fine. Here's a quick look top down. This is my favorite thing, is to feed these fish in the morning. You can see the Hydra 26 HDs that I had upstairs. There's a big Reef Bright strip and some cheap eBay blue LEDs that are for the morning up there. I like to feed these fish down here and then just kind of watch them. I don't know if any of them are going to pop in here, but the big tangs, they kind of know that I'm there. They don't care. They let me feed them. Get pretty close to them, actually, when I'm in there. And it's super easy to clean because of that step that I included. You can just see the Montes, the damage that was done to those Montes from up top. But overall, those are the changes. Just wanted to kind of throw out a video. Feel free to get at me in the comments with questions, and I'll try to